heart, and that's vendor training. So let's give it up for Bob Lowman.
First of all, I want to thank you all. Some of you have inquired about my hand of Sheila. I think I broke a bone Monday, or Friday rather, so that's why I'm trying to be a little careful with my hand. And I also want to thank you all for your kind remarks about last night. I appreciate it very much. We love having you out there. I do about a 2-hour seminar training for our clients, and of that, about an hour and a half is sales training. Okay, so I really was going to tell you this, a contrary viewpoint of some things. Down through the years, I've heard different approaches, and certainly there are different formats for shows. But there are some things I think that we do a little bit differently, and you know, basically I take my approach into our pre-show from a sales standpoint. I make no bones about it. My creative side of my brain died at birth. I'm happy it died at birth. You know, I'm a salesman. That's what I love. And unfortunately, I believe that for most of our clients, they're very, very creative people. In fact, if you ever get a chance, there's a book called The E-Myth Revisited, and it really talks about an awful lot of people that get into business are great technicians. They work and they do great at flowers or photography, and then one day they tell their boss what they can do with the job, and then they start in business. Unfortunately, they're typically very weak then from a sales standpoint. They're very weak from a managerial standpoint, and especially from an entrepreneurial standpoint, they're very weak. I've actually had, I'm sure you all have had it, you know, clients that really almost approach sales as a 4-letter word. And my point to them is you can be the greatest photographer, greatest florist in the world, and die of starvation if you can't sell. Because as much as anything, as we all know, they buy you as much as they buy the product and service. So when I'm out there trying to talk with them, I take it a step further. I know most people try to talk about getting appointments. My approach is I try to talk to them about getting deposits at the bridal extravaganzas. I recognize, and I always give this caveat, most of their sales is going to come in the days and weeks and months down the road. But my point is, if you don't go through the sales process as far as you can, if you stop short, then too often you leave money on the table, okay? It's amazing how many times, whether it be our exhibitors or just salespeople overall, they simply do not ask for the sale or the appointment, or whatever it may be. And before I even had my venue, I certainly, when I would do the pre-show talk, I would have a hotel or someone say to me, you know, there's no way someone's going to give you a deposit till they come out and take a tour. And I agreed and I disagreed with them. Again, I know that people buy me, and I can cast a spell, if you would, or I can talk about my product or service enough to at least qualify whether or not you're an interested prospect. Since we've had Granbury, we're able to kind of prove the point. You know, we get anywhere from 5 to 12 deposits the day of the show, and then subsequently about half of those stay sold. And it's just taking them through the process of offering that to them, to the bride, the opportunity if they think they're interested. Years ago, someone told me that all sales objections fell into either no need, no hurry, or no money. You know, no need is simply the conversation. You know, if someone already has their photographer, you happen to engage them at your booth, and they say, I already have my photographer. Thanks very much, goodbye, see you later. You don't need to waste a lot of time. Now the no money, I don't know that that's really, I mean, money's always part of the issue, but especially in the wedding industry, it's a little bit less so. But it can be a dangerous thing for salespeople that you have somebody, I love your product, it's great, but I have $1.99 in my name. So as salespeople, we want to be careful we don't waste a lot of time. But that's usually not the big problem for most of our clients. It's the no hurry. And the no hurry sounds a lot like the lie that says, I need to talk to my mother, brother, sister, aunt, or uncle, or in this case, my fiance, or whoever it may be. And you all have also told that lie. And really, it's a put-off, you know, for them. And so just trying to get them to deal with the elephant in the room, if you would, and be able to come back and gently broach the subject and make it easy for them to tell you no, rather than the maybe. Now, I'd rather yes than no, we all know that, but the maybes are where they kill you. And so we want to try to get people to go through the sales process. Again, most of them are not. going to be very strong at trying to get deposits that day. But if they try that, and again using this urgency, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look around the room and see 1,000 brides or 500 brides or 200 brides or whatever you got, and be able to say to that bride there, you seem like you're interested in my product or service. Is that correct? And that's important to teach them to ask those questions, not just to make the statement. And then if they say yes they are, well, we only do 10 weddings a weekend, 1 wedding a weekend, whatever it is that they are able to do. And if you think you're interested, then I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and put a deposit down. We'll put a tentative hold on your date. We'll have you come out here on Tuesday or Thursday or whatever their time frame is going to be. And if at that point in time you would like to go ahead and book, we offer this incentive to you. And we'll talk about that in just a second. I learned this years ago at the Marriott. I was buying a timeshare, and they're very, very gentle about it. But the idea is, Mr. Lowman, you seem like you're interested in the timeshare. Is that right? Yes. Well, if we go and make the decision today, time is money for all of us, we can offer you this. Now, if you don't want to buy today, that's great. You can buy next week or tomorrow, but then you don't get this. So in my little pea brain, I'm having this debate, this argument. Are you kidding? You're going to spend this kind of money and not even think about it? And then the other part of me is going, yeah, but I think I'm going to buy it, so why not take advantage of it, So I have the little argument myself, and so they're not putting pressure on me. They let me put pressure on myself to make a decision, okay? So the idea of trying to get the deposits is just a matter of just offering it to them. And it just blows people's minds. I've had a DJ that did our show for years, went to the training, then came back, and they never got a deposit before. Now she gets about 15 deposits at a show. And I have no idea if they get any more business or not. But I know, as an exhibitor, I sure like walking out with deposits that day, rather than hopes and prayers and dreams, okay, that way. Right? So as much as possible, I would like to try to get a deposit, if it's all possible. But mostly you're going to get no's, as we all get in sales. Mostly I'm not interested. That's okay, no problem. Then I want to go ahead and offer the opportunity to at least go ahead and put a deposit, to set an appointment. And again, you'll get some more appointments, as you all know, but mostly you're going to get no's. Again, I tell them, don't panic, just keep on going. And usually then, before I'm going to ask for a third situation, which is, do they want me to follow up with them, I try to get them to go back and re-qualify whether you really got a prospect here or whether you're just being a pain-in-the-ass salesperson that is beating somebody over the head with questions. They ought to go back and re-qualify, say, well, listen, I don't want to be difficult, I don't want to be a pain to you, but are you really interested in my product or service? And if they are, then you can go back and say, well, would you like me to go ahead and follow up with you? So it's just trying to get the deposit. If they can't get that, then try to get the appointment. If they can't get that, then to go ahead and get their information, if nothing else. So I don't know if any of y'all teach that. We've had good success with people. A lot of times they may not go over the top as far as asking for the deposit, but they are now going further, at least as far as trying to get the appointment. So just part of the sales process for them. Along those lines, bridal bucks is something I have. Monty, would you hold that up and just show that? We talked about it, I think, years ago or something like that. It is something that we give away $500 in bridal bucks to every bride that attends. I'd give away $5,000 if they would use it. But all it is we talk about it in most trade shows. The idea is that you offer some kind of incentive to book today. If you don't book today, then within 30 days. Again, it's trying to take advantage of the sense of urgency to try to get people to make a decision. And so we encourage people to participate in that. And all it is changing their verbiage around. Instead of saying, if you book my gold package today, if you're a photographer, it's a $2,000 package. If you book my gold package today, I give you $200 off. It simply says, if you book my gold package today, we take $200 off in bridal bucks. If you want to book my silver package, we take $100 off, and my bronze package is $50. So it's simply a matter of changing their verbiage, but it does allow us to systematize it and to market to brides, because I am trying to train brides not just to come to the show to win prizes, come that, or pick up literature, but really trying to engage them to do business with the vendors right then and there. Okay? Along those lines, we do a second chance drawing, just something new. Last couple of years we've been doing it, I guess. But anybody that does a contract the day of the show, And we were waiting till like the grand prize drawings end to make this announcement so that the brides would go back and revisit with the exhibitors to try to do the contracts. But I certainly made it known to them in some of the talks, if you want to cheat, tell them early, that's fine. The idea is that for every bride, if she gets a contract that day, they bring it to us, we do a copy of it or whatever, and then we give away 5 cash. We will reimburse them up to 10% of what they spend, up to a limit of how much? $250. Okay. And we give away, I think, 5 of them per show. So it's just another way to help try to get brides to be in the buying mode and to try to get the exhibitors to be in the sales mode with them. So that's something we've had for the last 2 years or so, I think. I don't know how many of y'all do fishbowl drawings. Every trade show in the world does a fishbowl drawing because they capture leads. We don't, and for lots of reasons, we all capture their registrations. But again, philosophically, I'm just dead set opposed against them. I think bridal shows are different than home and garden shows that you have tire kickers. I think these girls are on a mission, and the worst thing is to have somebody that wants to come just to register to win something. I'm not qualifying them. I don't know any more about them later on. Then it's like stupid. Why be it even at the show when, again, they buy you and have that one-on-one contact, which is what we're offering as an opportunity at the show. So now if I had a trade show in a mall, I don't know if anyone here does that, then I might force people to go booth to booth. But I don't like trying to force them to go to the booth. I want them to only go and do business with people they're interested in. In fact, your sign, I think, as we all know, ought to say what they do, because I know what it's like if you can't readily identify their booth from their sign or their decor. We all hate getting stuck with salespeople that we're not interested in talking with. And so therefore we'd rather avoid them. So I think it's important when we talk about their signage that it very readily identifies what it is that you do. And if it's not part of their normal name, then to at least put in if it's Sterling Enterprises, cakes, photography, whatever it is that way. So we don't allow the fishbowl drawing. I don't want to waste my time talking to someone that just wants to win something. I know some of the people talk about trade shows, even like having mints and candies and all that. I'm okay with that, but I sure don't want to waste my time that someone comes up because they really want my candy to BS me about whatever it is I'm selling, and really the truth is they could care less about me. They really just want my freebie that I'm giving away. So if they're going to do a freebie, fine, stick it off to the side, make it easy, put a sign up, take one free or something like that. I don't want to waste my time with people that are not interested in really doing business with me. One of the things that I tell people different than what I've heard a lot of times taught here is I always ask how many people are going to hand out literature, and a lot of people raise their hand. And I would very strongly encourage people not to hand out literature. A couple of reasons for it. Number one of the best things I can do is if a bride says, do you have any literature or price sheet or whatever it may be, I would much rather respond, I do not have it here with me today. What I'm doing is a follow-up mailing after the show. Would you like me to do that for you? And what I've done then is I've qualified them. At least I know they're really serious, as opposed to somebody just walking out and grabbing all the crap that they can grab. It's like the fishbowl drawings. I don't want brides coming to the show just trying to register to win something. We know there's always, what do they call it, prize whores, I think, for the radio stations, okay, that come to shows to see what they can win. And I don't want them walking down the literature, or the owls just picking up literature. Again, my value proposition is not just based on price. If you're the cheapest guy in town, I tell them, then fine, put your price out there. But otherwise, their value proposition is based on a lot more than just price, and they've got to be able to tell their story. So I would encourage them not to hand it out. And part of the reason I do, again, we deal with people I think that are very weak in terms of sales. And too often, I see this, the owners do it, but also the salespeople, when they hand something out, and by the way, this is not unique to me. I've heard it said lots of times when you hand materials out at a trade show, you ought to say, would you throw this in the trash can for me, please? Because what do you all do with the crap that you get at trade shows? You might go through a little bit at home, but then you throw it away, most of it, okay? So the idea is that, I lost my train of thought. So the idea is that too often when someone does it, they hand out material, and it's almost like, here, and then, oh my God, okay, I took care of that bride. All right, what's the next bride I gotta wait on? And what happens, I think people substitute handing materials out for engaging them in this sales process, which is really, I want to go ahead and qualify. I want to walk away with the deposits or hot leads, okay, or if I can't get appointments. I want to know that someone's really interested in doing business with me. You know, they've only got maybe, you know, I don't know, some conversations are 30 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. But if they probably are qualifying a bride, maybe it's what, 5-minute conversation? So they can only talk to 12 people in an hour. If your show's 5-6 hours, they're talking to 60 to 72 people. So I want to teach them much more about trying to, you know, again, I don't want people to come to my booth unless they're interested, and I want to try to turn them into sales as best I can. I had a lady that did our show for a lot of years, and she came to the training, and she says, I disagree with you, I love your show and all that for years, but we hand out materials. So I watched Sandy, and the next time at the show, Sandy hands out materials, but Sandy didn't let go. And she's talking with them, and next thing you know, she's taking it back and getting our appointment book. And so I understand it's a shtick, and you've got to realize a lot of you people are very uncomfortable with sales. It's almost why I think the mindset of putting a table up front, it separates them from these vicious brides, you know, so there's a little safety hiding behind that table. So the idea is the same with the literature. Sometimes it's almost like they're fencing. It's almost like, you know, stay away from me. I can use that literature to fend you off. So I would try to encourage people not to do it. Now we do a program book. You want to hold that up, Monica? Sheila mentioned it. It's spiral bound. Heck, if they're going to do it, fine. Put it in there. At least they have it, and it's going to be more likely to be hung on to. But I just think too often people substitute handing out literature for the sales process. When I'm talking about sales, again, I approach it definitely from a sales standpoint. We used to do this best booth contest, and certainly we did it to facilitate the networking, is what I told people, because, yeah, everybody would bitch, because if I'm a photographer, how do I compete with this great, you know, florist or decorator? And I always told them, you can't. You know, if you really was the best looking booth, you haven't got a chance of hell. Luckily for you, it says best booth, and really the purpose I did it was to encourage networking. And since it's my money I'm giving away, we can do the rules whatever you want. So I always used to encourage them. One of these days I said we would have the ugliest looking booth win. I said, if you can go out and get 15 people to vote for you because it was the fellow exhibitors, have at it. I'll be happy to call it the best booth, even if it's the ugliest booth in the show. It was simply a way to try to force them to go out and network, because again, some people are kind of weak in doing that. So I always tell them, sure, do a great looking booth, and we all know that's there are amazing booths out there. But my emphasis certainly is if they get a choice between doing this awesome booth and they look like this, oh my God, I'm exhausted, I can't, you know, hardly think about talking to people, or they do a very plain, simple booth, I'm going to encourage them to go with the enthusiasm and the plain, simple booth. A couple of years ago in San Antonio, we had a photographer that had one photo album and a cocktail table. And that was it. That might be stretching the point, but he got 4 deposits the day of the show. So I don't think I want to be able to encourage him to do that there. That's sparse of a booth, but it can happen. Talk about email, texting, marketing. So I'm trying to read my notes and see what I wrote down here. Okay. We've done a lot with social media here, and I think that's important. It's amazing when I talk to our exhibitors about their sales presentation, or I listen to them, how often I hear them say, well, if you will go to my website, and I don't understand that. You know, the whole purpose of our advertising, including our websites, is to get people to call us, okay, or get the appointment eventually. And for them to redirect them back out to their website, it's silly, but if you listen to them, it's happening an awful lot because it's easy, it's less threatening than to having to ask people to put a deposit down or do an appointment. It's something less threatening, okay? So I think I try to make sure that they are not referring people back out to their website and understand the website is to bring them in. I don't know, I think someone alluded earlier today, and it's really good. Certainly we all do follow-up. We encourage our people to do follow-up emailing to the brides after the show. And someone earlier talked about doing direct mail. Was it? Who was it? And I'll tell you what, I love direct mail now versus 12 years ago where it was I was killing it off because email was so automatic and so easy. Now with all the problems, it's a little bit more problematic. So I think the idea for direct mail is really opened back up again for a lot of people. We don't get the crap in the mailbox we used to get, you know. So if you want to stand out, I'm trying to go back to my exhibitors and encourage them now to think about doing some direct mail. I mean, there's a cost associated with it. You know, time they do the postage and print their piece, it might be 50 cents or 75 cents or something like that. But when we're selling items valued at hundreds or thousands of dollars, I think the return on investment's great. Said, and 12 years ago, 10 years, whenever emails started taking off, I was certainly killing it, without a doubt. But I think it's something to come back. How many of y'all do any kind of training as far as telemarketing of brides? Anybody? It is the thing that scares everybody to death. And so at the end of my presentation, you know, I really try to talk about it. Unfortunately, as we all know, I don't know, 60% of our clients, of my clients, work the lead list, and of that, 99% of them do it by email. Unfortunately, they do it the day after they get the list, and it terrifies the bride. They're going to get 100 emails every day. So I certainly, the idea of, but telemarketing, we know it works. That's why the big companies keep doing it, without a doubt. And every one of our exhibitors, moms and papas, is absolutely terrified of doing it. So, you know, the big thing I talk about is, look, you're going to reach Mr. Answer Machine. That's who it is. You're not going to die from talking to them. So they need to have some kind of a ready pitch that they're able to leave on that answer machine. I know for Granbury, we call every bride 3 times. And just the idea, I make it available if they want. And unfortunately, I've had very few people take the opportunity to do it, but I've had them come and we sometimes will call brides for an hour. And if I get them past the fear of doing it, it certainly, again, is one more factor that can lead to them being successful. But sometimes you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink that way. Okay. One of the things I wrote down here is I try to encourage our exhibitors to go have dinner after the show for about 1 hour, not for 3 hours, but for 1 hour, and then come back. I don't know, particularly our shows that are a couple hundred exhibitors, everybody wants to get out of Dodge right away. It doesn't happen. Hour and 15 minutes, they're gone anyway. But if they go have dinner for about an hour and then come back, it makes their life less stressful and my life less stressful, especially if you have limited facilities for getting the vehicles in and out of there. And then the last thing I have is I talk about networking. I try to get them there early. And my question to them always is, who's the most important person for you to network with? And they come up with different answers. And my point to them is always going to be, if you're a photographer, you need to make sure every other photographer in the room knows who you are. I'm not saying you got to spill your trade secrets or whatever, spill your guts about all that. But there really are no trade secrets anymore. It's on the internet, and the whole world knows it anyway. But truly, they need to get out there and network. We've all seen tremendous referrals that go back and forth. It's a big part of this industry, as we all know. But they're afraid of doing it sometimes. So they've got to get out there and at least make sure. I'd rather competitors say, hey, Bobby's ugly, he's got bad breath, and I hate his facility, rather than someone say they don't know about us. And because that's a battle for all of us, is just breaking through the clutter. How many thousands of messages was it in 24 hours, Linda said? Like that. It's amazing. And so we've just got to make sure that people know that we exist. So those are my short, sweet ones. Now we can go get the heck out of Dodge.